fellow Toastmasters and guests, especially Speechcrafter, get your fingers ready to type into the keyboard because let's begin with a little exercise before the start of my speech. Now, type 1 in the chat if you've ever been in a situation where you have to repeat yourself more than 2 times to the people you're speaking with. So basically speaking, you said something and the person go, huh? And you said something again, the same thing again to be exact, and the person go, what? And then you have to say it for the 3rd time. So if you ever feel like you've done that before, you've received a situation before, type 1 in the chat box. Okay, so I see, ooh, okay, whoa, that's a lot, okay. So it is safe to assume that this sort of thing has happened to each and every one of us. And that's, I would like to say, pretty normal. Now, with that said, I'll just share my screen real quick. Is it visible? Yeah, okay, great, it's visible. Now, while writing this speech, what came to my mind was this particular speech by Martin Luther King Jr., titled, like one of our table topic speakers said, I have a dream. It was addressed on the 28th of August, 1963 at Washington, D.C. Now, I tried to take a look at the video of it, but it was so old that the recording does not have any color other than black and white. But despite that, you can clearly tell that it was a bright and sunny day. And still, Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech was delivered in an iconic way. It's a full 17 minutes long. It was still able to captivate and capture the attention of more than 200,000 people in that scene. The words in that speech has been quoted so many times, and that's a way that truly shows that a well-written speech can even outlast its writer. Now, moving on. Just click on it. Okay, moving on. Effective communication depends on well-chosen words. Imagine a high-intensity situation where life and death are hanging in the balance, and the outcome of that situation is based not on your action, but solely the words that are about to leave your lips. Now, I would like to share a small, tiny example of what it is in the form of a clip. So get ready. Okay.
Sure, you just take off your little mask and show us all who you really are. Hmm? Let her go. Very poor choice of words.
Okay. Was there audio, everybody? Seems like it. Yes. Okay. So in that particular clip, the Joker was holding on to Rachel, and then Batman said, "Let her go." Now, that is an extreme example of choosing the wrong words to say. But remember that life is a series of choices that you make, and those choices could lead to favorable situation or, like earlier, unfavorable situation. Now, learning and practicing those words are important, as it could potentially lead you to a better outcome. We live in a world where trial and error is a thing. Experience through learning, through repetition, is demanded, is acceptable, is even encouraged. Which is why, whether you're speaking to a single person in conversation or a large group, the words that you choose can lead to a clear understanding or confusion. Now, I have another clip. Give me one quick moment to open it up. Okay. So, this was from the movie Hellboy. This was a bit old, so wait, give me a moment. I think I forgot to share sound. Okay, here we go.
You will learn to obey me, follow protocol, and stay focused at all times.
That word, focused? Yeah, with your accent, I wouldn't use it that much.
Okay, so even on how you say certain words is important as to how the main character says. In this case, mispronouncing a word can lead to, let's call it, unintended effect, to put it mildly. So next, vivid words can often be more engaging and memorable. So don't forget to use description to help you make a point or a clear, rich image for your audience. For example, feel free to type in the chat to answer this question. How would you describe Indonesia? A simple question. So ladies and gentlemen, how would you describe Indonesia in just one sentence? See, beautiful, big, large. Okay, fantastic, fantastic. But I feel like those words aren't descriptive enough for you to describe Indonesia. So how I would do it is simply by saying, Indonesia is the country with the world's most populous island. Everywhere you look, there's people. But each city comes with its own unique language, culture, and people. The moment you hear that sentence, your mind instinctively thinks of a busy city filled with people till your eyes can see, of different ethnicity interacting with one another. Now, moving on, don't forget to consider your audience. When speaking to a group of people who are expert in a field, for example, like our dear people from CFA, do not use a level of vocabulary like when you speak to a teenager, for example. Let's say that I'm taking a currency like this and say, do you know what currency this is? Now, the way as to how you say it might be misinterpreted into an insult, if you think about it that way. Because the people who you talk to are people who are learned, people who are proficient at what they're doing. So when speaking to an unknown or unfamiliar audience, don't forget to match your level of vocabulary, to match their understanding as well. And the opposite is true. So don't speak to a teenager with CFA level of vocabulary. For example, by understanding the key principles behind EBITDA, you will be able to gauge your company's health. You don't speak to a teenager like that. That's not normal. And last but not the least, finally, use examples, stories, and anecdotes to illustrate the impact of your word choice on a speech, just like what I've been doing. An example is a great way for you to get your point across to your audience in an easily digestible way. So hopefully you'll be able to implement the things that I've mentioned today, not just in your upcoming speech, but in your daily life. That's my time. Thank you so much for listening. Back to you, Tom.